Coming up today, we're chatting with the author of a local children's book.
At bedtime, if parents are reading it, it becomes part of that language at home to use the Awabakal language.
I'll tell you about the fresh tunes that have been added to our local stream, and Dan will tell you about the bumper Christmas gift guide we launched earlier this week. Produced on Awabakal and Warramai land, this is The Good Stuff, powered by BYD on Newcastle Live.
This is
Good.
good stuff.
The Good Stuff! The Newcastle live stream plays a library of non-stop local tracks that's always expanding. This week, we've added tunes by Lark, Wes Jimmy, Max Jackson, and Cormac Grant, just to name a few. We're constantly looking for new local tracks, so if you want to hear your song on the Newcastle live stream, you should email us at rockon@newcastlelive.com.au. To listen to the stream, head on over to newcastlelive.com.au or download the Newcastle Live app.
Good stuff.
Local author Mikhala Jeans has created a children's book that captures the essence of Newey. Earlier this week, we caught up with her for a chat. Let's start off. I want to know about your background and what inspired you to write this book.
So my name's Mikhala. I moved to Newcastle almost 2 years ago now with my young family. I have a now 5-year-old and 2-year-old. And when we moved here, I was on the hunt for a book that I could read to them about Newcastle. And I looked in the library, I looked in the local bookstores, and there are a few out there, but there was nothing that was just specific to Newcastle and the iconic landmarks.
Yeah.
And so I thought, you know what, I need to maybe write one, and then that way my children can read it and other children in Newcastle.
I didn't even realise that there wasn't a book for children about Newcastle.
Yeah, well, there are a few, but they will include Santa or COVID or just particular parts, but with a fiction story about Newcastle. So this is just really based about the places of Newcastle.
Yeah, right. So how did you go about actually picking out the places that you wanted to put in the book?
So my son had a huge help and a huge part in all of it, and so he was the one who actually decided in the end. I decided to write the book over 7 days of the week, and so we decided that we needed to pick 7 places that we could write about. We did a huge brainstorm of all the places that we love visiting, and we know that they're the places other local Newcastle people love visiting.
Yeah.
And in the end, he decided on the 7 places that are his favourite.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of an itinerary, isn't it?
Totally. It's a 7-day travel guide to Newcastle.
Yeah. The illustrations in it are really beautiful. They're by Fatima Tazora.
Yes.
Is that right? How did you meet Fatima?
So I actually outsourced her and found her online. And so all the illustrations that she has done by hand are from photos that I've taken of Newcastle.
Wow.
So yeah, we worked very closely over 9 months together, chatting weekly. And she produced some of the most beautiful, vibrant images of Newcastle.
Can you tell me about some of your favourite moments from getting to create this?
So one of the highlights was I was really, really lucky. I was a finalist for the Awesome Newcastle Foundation. So that's a group that give out $1,000 grants every month to anyone in Newcastle that has an awesome project that will benefit the community. And so in the month of April, I was the finalist and I won that month. And so that night, pitching to them, part of my promise was that I would donate a copy to every local Newcastle LGA school and library so that every child could have access to the book. So that was a really big highlight. Just, the whole process was a learning curve. It was really fun, but that particular part just kind of gave me the belief that, this is a good project.
Yeah, it definitely is. And where else can we find it at the moment?
So at the moment, it's on my website for sale, which is www.iliveherebooks.bigcartel.com. A mouthful. But you can definitely go in town and buy locally through Betty Loves Books and also at the Visitor Information Centre.
Now, one of my favourite parts from just flicking through the book, it's all gorgeous, but I love the fact that at the very end you have a list of traditional Aboriginal names of places around Newcastle. Why was that so important to you to include?
So when we moved here, it was actually my son who was going to the local preschool, who was coming home and telling me all about the Awabakal language. And so I thought, wow, this is so important for this to sort of be at home in everyday language for everyone. And so I decided it was beneficial to have some do you know facts at the end of the book, so that not only is it a fun read, but it's also educational. And just so at bedtime, if parents are reading it, it becomes part of that language at home to use the Awabakal language for the dual locations.
Yeah, and I actually think it's funny because I bet that it won't be just educational for the children that are reading it. It will also educate the people that are reading it to the kids, because as we were talking before we went live, you know, actually teaching place names hasn't been a common thing prior to recently. So it'll be really good to catch everyone else up.
Yeah, exactly. And those places are all named. They've got the signpost when you're there. But if you don't stop and read them, then you don't really know. So hopefully this helps bring it into home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for coming in and chatting to me about this. I can't wait to see it everywhere.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is where it sounds good. Good stuff.
With Christmas just around the corner, Newcastle Live is once again encouraging everyone to shop local with our bumper 2023 edition of our Christmas gift guide. This year we're highlighting an array of extraordinary offerings from local retailers, captivating events and engaging activities to meaningful contributions to charities. You can see the whole festive shebang over at newcastlelive.com.au.
Good.
That's it for the good stuff today. I'd love to say a big thank you to Mikhala Jeans for joining us. Thanks heaps for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow from 4 p.m. for more of the good stuff.